A bunch of exciting new manga licenses were announced this past weekend at Anime NYC, so let's go ahead and talk about them. So this past weekend was Anime NYC, one of the two biggest anime conventions in the US, and of course that means there were some new manga licenses announced for release in English, and it's time to go ahead and talk about them. Now, I didn't get to go to the convention myself, unfortunately, but I did see a lot of friends of mine that were out there taking pictures and posting videos, and it looks like they had a great time, and I am a little bit jealous because I love hanging out with all my friends at these conventions. Anyway, let's go ahead and start going over the video, or the contents of the video. So there were new announcements from Denpa, Kuma, Yen Press, and Eyes Press, Kodansha, Starfruit Books, and then one really surprising, big, and cool announcement from Drawn and Quarterly. So I'm gonna be going over all of those in that order in this video. I'll have timestamps down below so you can jump ahead wherever you want to. I'm only gonna be covering physical manga licenses, so I'm not covering the digital stuff, just to clarify, and I'm also not gonna be covering any of the light novels that got announced this time. Just physical manga. Just wanted to clarify that for you. And as always, when I go over these, do these license announcement videos, please be respectful. Keep in mind that not everything is for you, but everything is for somebody. Like, you might look at almost everything that got announced and be like, who cares? This is all dumb, whatever. But I guarantee you, there is someone to whom every single one of these, there's someone that it's the most exciting thing that they've seen announced in a while. Like, it's the thing that they are the most pumped about. So just be respectful. Don't head to my comments and trash talk stuff just because it's not for you. It's for somebody. Anyway, let's start going through it. Starting off with Denpa, they had one new announcement. It's one that I think a lot of people are gonna be excited for, and that is Odd Taxi by Kazuya Konomoto, Pix, and Takichi Abaraya. This is going to be a 5-volume adaptation of the 13-episode anime series from a couple years ago, which follows the character Odokawa, an eccentric 41-year-old taxi driver with no family, who has conversations with his various passengers that lead him towards a girl who has disappeared. I know that was a very popular series a couple years ago when it aired. This is based on that anime. It's not the other way around, but I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be really excited to get the manga. I myself am excited to pick it up. So yeah. Big one from Denpa right there. And by the way, all of these are scheduled for, like, tentatively, like, the fall of 2024. Some stuff might come out later, but in general, fall 2024. And we've got one from Kuma as well, Wolfpack by Billy Balibali. This one is a single volume BL manga, of course it's BL, it's from Kuma, about the leaders of 2 wolf clans who marry out of custom. And then moving onward from Yen Press, we've got 8 new releases, so I'm going to spend a little bit more time over here talking about Yen Press, and they have actual descriptions, so I'm just going to read those, the descriptions that they gave. First up, they've got Bungo Stray Dogs, the official anthology manga from Kafka Asagiri, Sango Harukawa, and various artists, presenting the first anthology of the popular supernatural action series Bungo Stray Dogs, featuring a luxurious list of guest authors. These new Bungo stories include everything from gags to heartwarming moments in a charming collection that will leave you begging for more. Next up, they've got Days with My Stepsister from Ghost Mikawa, Yumika Kanade, and Hiten. After his father's remarriage, high school student Yuta suddenly finds himself step-siblings with his classmate Saki. However, unlike the plain and simple Yuta, his new younger sister has an over-the-top sense of style and is known as the hottest girl in the grade. Due to past trauma, Yuta isn't great at talking to women, and at first is perplexed by this new family member who seems to be his complete opposite. But as the two settle into a shared lifestyle, could their relationship blossom into something more? I'm guessing it probably will. Next up, we've got a new Goblin Slayer manga, Goblin Slayer: A Day in the Life, from Kumo Kagyu, Daichi Matsuse, and Noboru Kanatuki. This one is the party of club fighter, supreme gods cleric, and hairfolk hunter takes on a new challenge only to discover there are some enemies they can't hope to defeat. Priestess joins female knight, witch, and high elf archer on an adventure, but somehow they end up defending a besieged fortress. And then there's Goblin Slayer, who's once again teamed up with spearman and heavy warrior. This special manga adaptation of volume 12 of the popular light novel series follows a day in the life of adventures in the four-cornered world. So y'all Goblin Slayer fans, another one for y'all. And then for Sword Art Online fans, there's another one for y'all as well. Sword Art Online Re Einkrad from Reki Kawahara, Kimi Mitosato, and a Beck. Die in the game, you die in real life. The only way out is clearing the massive floating castle Einkrad. The pinnacle of heroic sagas kicks off here. Next up, we've got The Kept Man of the Princess Knight from Toru Shirogane and Mashimasaki and Kei Yang. The dungeon calls and is answered by adventurers, profiteers, and anyone looking to make a quick buck. And in this town inhabited by the dregs of society live a man and the woman who owns him. Arwen, the Crimson Princess Knight with lofty dreams of restoring her homeland, and Matthew, the town drunk. As Arwen challenges the dungeon, Matthew spends his days in taverns and brothels living off the money he gets from her. But the town laughingstock has a side that no one knows about. In service of Arwen, Matthew would do anything, no matter how dirty he might get. Next up, we have No Game, No Life, Chapter 2, Eastern Union manga. Yu Kamiya, Ryu Naito are the creators on that one. The manga adaptation of the hit light novel series enters its second chapter. Summoned by a boy who calls himself God in a world where games decide everything, the prodigy gamer siblings Sora and Shiro quickly rise to the top of human society, having secured a future for the kingdom of Elkia and humankind in this world. The siblings set their sight on a new prize, the Eastern Union. It's finally time to challenge the other races. And then we've got She Likes Gays But Not Me from Akira Hirahara and Naoto Asahara. Based on the critically acclaimed novel, high schooler Atsushi Ando has always hidden the fact that he's gay, but one day he sees his classmate Sei Miura with a BL book, a small moment with major consequences. Atsushi longs for a normal happiness, in quotes normal, with a loving wife and a biological child, but what can he do when he's not turned on by women? And finally, from Yen Press, we've got Friday at the Atelier by Sakura Hamada. Tamaki, a woman who's grown tired of her life, is one day asked by the famous painter Shunsui Ishihara to become his model. And not just any model, a nude model. But when she accepts without hesitation, Ishihara is taken by her peculiar response and somehow falls for her. The misaligned love story between an oblivious girl and a handsome but extremely self-conscious artist begins here. And then they've got 6 from Eyes Press. So these are going to be the manhwa and webtoon type releases. First up, we've got Beware the Villainous by Blue Kana, Berry, and Soda Ice. When a modern-day college student wakes up in the body of Melissa Photobrat, the villainess of a cliché reverse harem novel, she's determined to cast aside the plot and live a quiet life of luxury. But why are all the men in this novel trash? A sleazebag crown prince, an asshole sniper, a crazed werewolf, and an obsessive merchant, Melissa can't just stand by and watch the innocent heroine suffer at the hands of these 4 male leads. Scummy love interests be gone, this story is getting a rewrite. And if you want more villainous stuff, good for you, because there's another one, The Villainous is a Marionette, by Mangle and Hanirim. Kayenna Hill, the imperial princess and most beautiful rose of the empire, and the novel's villainess, uses a pawn in her brother's schemes and left to die. Except this isn't just some novel to her, not when she's already lived her first life as the foolish Kayenna herself. When she wakes up as Kayenna Hill once more in her third life, she's now armed with the knowledge of how her dreadful future unfolds. In order to rewrite her story and win her freedom, she must learn to puppet the puppeteer. This time, she'll be the one pulling the strings. Next up, we've got Marriage of Convenience by Ant Studio, Han Hyun, and Ken. Bianca de Arno was infamous throughout the land as a terrible, extravagant woman who spurned her husband and neglected her duties as countess. But when her husband Zachary de Arno dies in battle, she's thrown out of the estate and meets a miserable and lonely end, only to wake up 19 years old again. This time, Bianca is determined to do what it takes to ensure her survival, starting with mending her relationship with the indifferent man she calls her husband. And we've got My Secretly Hot Husband by Harara Gabinam and Jung Jeon. Letitia was born into another world after her untimely death, but that was only the start of her hardships. A series of tragic events forces her to work as her servant in her uncle's house until he sends her off to marry the infamous monster lord Erden Halstead to fulfill an old debt. But once she arrives at her new home, Letitia's fear is quickly replaced by puzzlement and a whole slew of questions. Why is she randomly finding modern objects from her previous life in this fantasy world? Her new husband is supposed to be hideous and evil, so why is he so sweet and gentle and such a fan of bunnies? And most importantly, why is he so gorgeous? Next up, we've got the Triple S Class Revival Hunter from Bilkei, Nada, and Sinoa. Some people are just born lucky, fated to enjoy all the riches and fame, while those beneath fade into obscurity. Confucius Kim, an F-Class hunter with 0 skills, is definitely not one of the fortunate ones. He spends his day bemoaning his lame existence and enviously following the exploits of the Star Hunter Flame Emperor, for whom the mysterious monster-filled tower is nothing but a red carpet. Then one day, Confucius gets the chance to finally catch up to his idol when he receives the ability to copy other people's skills. The only catch? He has to be killed by them first. And then we end it with Tied to You, which is the first apparently BL series that they've put in the Eyes Press line. This is by What and Chelius. Wuseo Shin was never one to believe in fate until a ring of red thread appears around his finger, that is. This ring marks a person's first encounter with their soulmate, and with it, neither can fall asleep if the other is absent. That sounds terrible. This development is not a welcome one for Wuseo, who decides to keep it from his best friend and crush Jiseo Kang at all costs. Because as fate would have it, the person with the ring matching Wuseo's is Ji-gyeon Kang, Jiseok's older brother. When Ji-gyeon proposes that they start sharing a bed, if only to combat their joint insomnia, Wuseo reluctantly accepts, but as the two spend more time together, feelings start to get messy. Will Wuseo be able to survive his new life tangled up between these two brothers? So 6 new licenses coming from Eyes Press. I think the Eyes Press line is doing so good for Yen Press. Like they're just going to continue to pump stuff into that line. I think those are often some of their biggest sellers over at Yen Press in general. So it's not surprising to see something like them putting so many new titles in there. Anyway, moving on, we then got 10 new licenses coming from Kodansha. There's some stuff in here that I'm pretty excited for myself. First up is the Spellbook Library from Uta Isaki. And all of these have their own summaries as well, so I'm just going to read from this. In the world of the Spellbook Library, spellbook librarians protect townsfolk from dangerous spell beasts, sealing them in spellbooks that hold more than just magic. When he was a child, troublemaker Jan was attacked by a ferocious spell beast until he was rescued by a group of spellbook librarians. Inspired by the librarians' heroic efforts, Jan vows to turn over a new leaf and become a spellbook librarian to repay their kindness. On the day of his employment exam, he meets Toru, a mysterious young boy who has his own reasons for wanting to work at the library. Together, Jan and Toru set off to join the ranks of the Spellbook Library and begin the long journey to learn just what it takes to become a spellbook librarian. Now, this is debuting in English first, digitally on the Kodansha Reader portal every Wednesday. And then in the fall, they're going to ship out the first physical volume. So this is, there was one similar to this that had started back a little bit ago. I forget the title of it, but it was an action series. So this is a new one kind of in that line where it's English first, digital releases, and then we get the physical pretty soon thereafter. This next one is probably going to be the most exciting for a lot of people, and it's definitely one that I'm very much looking forward to, and that is Versus by the creator of One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100, as well as by Kyotaro Azuma and Bose. Centuries ago, humanity's natural enemy, demons, invaded the world and oppressed humankind. The great demon lord and 47 subordinates known as demon lords have since dominated the world, while the human race lives on in fear. In desperation, a last-ditch effort for humanity's very survival is placed in the hands of 47 people gathered from across the world. These heroes will oppose the demon army and win back humanity's freedom, or die trying. So if you're a fan of One and his other works, this is definitely one that you're going to want to be checking out. I'm excited to check it out myself. I figured once I saw that he had a new series started in Japan, I was like, it's just a matter of time before we get the license out here. Anyway, moving on. Papa Sits a Tract by Hono Natsuda. Chiharu Kagura is content spending her days with her sweetie of a Rottweiler that probably weighs about as much as she does. Meanwhile, Kiyotaka Tsuji can't get enough of his fluffy Pomeranian that barely comes up to his knees. When these two mismatched pairs chance upon each other at the park, could it be the start of an unlikely friendship, or maybe something more? And next up, we've got The Boy I Loved Became the Jaded Emperor by Oshikawa, Bekio, and Mitsuya Fuji. After witnessing the death of the woman who saved him as a child, Princess Alexei vows revenge and turns bitter and jaded, eventually taking the throne and becoming emperor. Little does he know the woman who saved him was reborn as the daughter of a duke, a taciturn young lady with a secret. When fate throws them together, will they recognize each other, or will their jaded pasts keep them apart? Then we've got Snow and Ink by Miyuki Onohana. Accused of slaughtering an entire village, a sardonic criminal resigned to his lot in life is mysteriously bought by the daughter of a wealthy family. She too has been shunned by the world and saw him in a suitable companion for her journey to the barren north. While they both carry a certain darkness in their hearts, that may be what allows them to find solace in each other. I'm particularly interested in this one. The description is really interesting, and the art for this one looks pretty good as well, so I will be checking out Snow and Ink for sure when it comes out in the fall of 2024. Next up, we've got Home Office Romance by Kintetsu Yamada, a one-shot, so single volume, home office romance rom-com from the creator of Sweat and Soap. So if you're a fan of that one, you might want to pick this one up. Nokoru is finally afforded the chance to telework at home due to the pandemic lockdown, rediscovering old passions and new hobbies. Nokoru is allured by his next-door neighbor, Natsu. From the creator of Sweat and Soap, this standalone volume showcases two adults building a relationship when most human-to-human interaction was halted, even if it feels like a tall tale to find romance at home. Moving on, we've got Kusunoki's Flunking Her High School Glow Up by Mitsuki Mi. Keisuke Shizuki and Shizuka Kusunoki are taking high school by storm with their good looks, but they share a dark secret. They were both total outcasts in middle school. While Shizuki has succeeded in making himself over inside and out, clearing the slate of his past life, Kusunoki is still struggling to develop social skills to match her new appearance. She's eager of Shizuki's help, if only he could get over his phobia of pretty girls. Then we've got Spoil Me Please, spelt with 3 Z's, Hinamori-san by Tsuke. Ichigo Hinamori has always looked up to her senpai Yaya So for her poise, impeccable grades, and kind heart, but that all changes the day Ichigo stumbles upon Yaya wailing like a little kid in the nurse's office. Turns out everyone's favorite honor student is desperate to get off her pedestal and be spoiled rotten instead, and now she's hoping Ichigo will be the one to indulge her. Then we've got Sheltering Eves by Rie Aruga. At the age of 10, Yoru was sent to live in a children's home due to abuse from her mother. Tenjaku, a boy who is the same age, takes Yoru under his wing. Now in their second year of high school, Yoru and Tenjaku only have a year left before they must leave the children's home. From the creator of Perfect World, this story follows a pure romance that has blossomed in an unfair and cruel world as it explores Japanese society's treatment of those who are most innocent. And finally, Your Lie in April Omnibus Editions. I figured this one was coming because they teased their announcements with an image of the cover. And I was like, is this gonna be Your Lie in April Omnibus Editions? From Naoshi Arakawa. Naoshi Arakawa's beloved romantic drama about relearning to fall in love with music and life returns in this brand new omnibus edition. Kosei Arima was a piano prodigy until his cruel taskmaster of a mother died suddenly, changing his life forever. Driven by his pain to abandon piano, Kosei now lives in a monotonous, colorless world. Having resigned himself to a bland life, he's surprised when he meets Kaori Miyazono, a violinist with an unorthodox style. Can Kaori teach Kosei not just how to play, but how to start living again? So this was an 11-volume series, so assuming that they're doing the normal like 3-in-1s that they usually do, it should be 4 volumes, with the last one being a 2-in-1. I think there was a single volume follow-up, so maybe they could shove that in there and make it 4 3-in-1s. Who knows? But this will be great for folks like myself who have not collected or read Your Lie in April yet. This will be the perfect chance for me to pick it up and give it a try. So that's everything from Kodansha. And then we got 5 new licenses from Starfruit Books. Starfruit is a smaller independent publisher that has been publishing a lot of really cool stuff. If you haven't checked anything out from them yet, I highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of horror manga. They have a line called Blood Orange that has some great horror series, and Starfruit has been doing a lot of work to bring Hideshi Hino back to English audiences after we've gone like, what, a decade plus with no Hideshi Hino in print. Anyway, so First up, we've got I'll Quit Traveling by Kenosha Kizima. This is a 30-page slow fantasy manga about a young girl who's been a traveler since birth and her wish to end her journey. This one is, I think, already available digitally over at Azuki, so if you want to check it out, it'll be available there, but they'll do the magazine version of it later, printed physically. And then His Ankle by Kuro Nohara is an 80-page BL. I couldn't find the description of this one, but Starfruit does have several BL releases, so if you are a fan of BL as well, you might want to check out what Starfruit has to offer. And then we've got 3 horror books coming to the Blood Orange line. I'm really excited about these. First up, Virginia Inferno by Miyako Kojima. This is a single volume horror anthology with 10 new stories from Miyako Kojima, the creator of Wander House of Horrors, which was another horror anthology that they published earlier this year. I highly recommend checking that one out. Kojima's work is great for anyone who's a fan of other horror creators like Kazuo Umezu or Junji Ito. If you enjoy those horror creators that put out a lot of those short stories, and we get a lot of those anthologies from them, like Junji Ito, definitely check out Kojima's works. Then we've got Clan Under the Moon by Tsukimori Misaki. This is a 2-volume horror about a girl who serves at a shrine for the fox deity Inari Myoshin. For saving a wounded fox, she was long ago possessed by a fox spirit that helps her solve mysteries. So they don't do many like multi-volume series, so this one is interesting in that. I really love the art style on this one, very much looking forward to picking it up. And then we've got a Hino book, The Red Snake. This was previously released by Dark Horse as part of their Hino horror line back like a while ago, like decades ago. It's a single volume. It will have some colored pages. The description I found was something evil lurks within the house. It is in the rooms that nobody enters. It is in the dark forest all around, and it is in the minds of the people that live there. Only when a red snake appears does the evil manifest itself, unleashing horrific events that end in a bloody orgy of murder and mayhem. So Hino fans or anyone who hasn't read any Hino horror yet, this is going to be one to look out for. I'm very much looking forward to this one. I'm happy anytime they announce that they've got more Hino horror coming. And I'm so glad that there is a publisher who's giving focus to that. So once again, if you haven't checked out Starfruit Books yet, go to their site, go to Starfruit's website, check out their catalog, check out some of the stuff they have. They do digital as well as physical, so you can check some of those things out if you don't want to order them. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming from there. Definitely horror fans pay attention. And then the last one, and this is like for fans of classic manga, this is without a doubt going to be the most exciting thing that came out of that weekend as far as manga license announcements. Drawn Quarterly has announced that Legend of Kamui by Sanpei Shirato is finally coming to print in English. For the first time ever, classic ninja manga that was published in the legendary alt manga magazine Garo from between 1964 to 1971 is going to be printed in English for the first time. It was originally 21 volumes in Japan. Drawn Quarterly is doing a 10-volume set for this one. There was a 2-volume spin-off series called Kamui Gaiden that was published in English back in 1987 by Eclipse and Viz as one of the very first manga ever published in English. And this is also notable from Drawn Quarterly because they don't usually do longer stuff. They do a lot of like single volume manga or manhwa releases. And I think this is the first longer form manga release that they've done since their Gegege no Kitaro release. And I guess they did also the re-release of the Showa History of Japan series, but that was only 4 volumes. And Kitaro, I think, was only 7 or 8 volumes. So this is gonna be the longest thing as far as manga at least goes that they've done. So as far as description goes for Legend of Kamui, in the Edo period, child outcast Kamui lives on the fringes of a miserably stratified society that has always excluded the likes of him. His only way out is to take on the mantle of ninja, fueled by pure grit, rage, and a dash of cunning. He brushes elbows with lowly peasants, aspiring tenant farmers, and warriors disgraced and exalted alike in this multi-layered social drama. Follow families, rich and poor alike, as they face the trials and tribulations of an unforgiving and violent time. Shirato expertly sets this tale against the lush, natural backdrop of a still untouched landscape, and the harsh, often petty nuances of village life in the 18th century make astonishing parallels with modern day. This one's going to be translated by historian and decorated academic Richard Rubinger. So this is a big deal. Like I said, especially if you're a fan of classic manga, but it's a big deal for just manga fans in general. This is a huge one. This has shot up towards the top of my list of most anticipated manga releases of 2024. Absolutely. Like I couldn't believe that they actually announced this. It's very, very rare that we see older manga series get licensed in the US because a lot of publishers just aren't willing to take the chance on those. And usually when they do something that's older, it's like something that's a single volume or can at least be compiled into a single volume, something that's a little bit less of an investment. There's not so much of a risk if it's like that. So seeing them do this big of a series, a 21 volume series, they're gonna compile into 10, basically 2-in-1 volumes, is a huge surprise. And I'm hoping that it does succeed well enough that not just Drawn and Quarterly, but hopefully other publishers can start taking chances along with these older classic series, because there are so many classics out there that we just don't have available officially to us in English. So big ups and big thanks to Drawn and Quarterly for this one. Super excited if you can't tell. But yeah, there's some cool stuff that came out of the con this weekend. A few that I'm definitely picking up, a lot of stuff that I'm curious to try. But my favorite thing about these is like, usually like the ones that, because like Yen Press, for instance, Yen and Eyes, there was nothing that I was like, oh, I need to pick that up. But usually some of those are the ones that surprise me the most, and I wind up reading one of those and absolutely loving them. So I'm excited to try out some of those things. But as far as stuff that I'm definitely picking up, obviously I'm excited about Kamui. I'm gonna be trying out Your Lie in April with those omnibus editions, Sheltering Eves, as well as Home Office Romance, Snow and Ink, and Versus, all from Kodansha. Those are all ones that I'm planning on picking up myself. And then from Starfruit, the 3 horror books that they announced over there, and then Denpo, we got Odd Taxi. That's everything from the announcements that I know I'm gonna be picking up, and then I might try out a few other things just to see how they go. But let me know what you are most excited about. What from this round of announcements were you most excited to hear about? What are you most excited to pick up and try out? What are you curious about? I wanna know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this rundown of all the announcements so you can be caught up with, you know, what happened at that con this weekend, all the things that got announced. I just wanna make sure that no one misses anything, especially that Drawn and Quarterly release, not just because I'm excited about it and because it's a big deal, but because they didn't have a panel, I don't think. They just handed out cards. Like they handed out little like cards to announce it to people from like their booth or something. So that's pretty cool. Just don't want anyone to miss out on that type of announcement. So thank you again for watching. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to come back for all my upcoming videos. If you're not new here, you know how much I appreciate you spending time with me. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.